We're now 12 days out from Election Day, and tonight Maine's 4 Senate candidates will meet for a virtual debate. What you can expect coming up.
So November 3rd is pretty soon, but you could still register to vote. We'll walk you through how and let you know how to make sure your ballot is counted.
It's all about education.
There's a lot to remember when it comes to staying safe during the pandemic. That's why one city in Maine has a new COVID team to help spread the word.
After a couple of cool, damp days, the sun is back today and the temperatures will be milder. This is the Morning Report.
Good morning and happy Thursday, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Sharon Rose Vasnes. Todd is here, and Todd, it's a little murky out there this morning.
Just a bit.
Yeah,
I can still hear the foghorns, I think. Yeah, that was an interesting ride. That was some of the thickest fog we've had in recent memory, I guess, and it's going to be a problem, guys, for the next few hours. We have dense fog advisories up until 8 a.m., and then it starts to thin out. But you can see in most towns the visibility is way down, so give yourself a little added time for your commute. Front is coming through. Behind it, the air isn't exactly colder, but it is drier. And that's why I think we'll be successful at getting rid of this fog by mid-morning and get us back into some sunshine. The problem is there's another storm system out here to our west, rain with it. That rain doesn't get to us, but the clouds will. So we won't have a whole lot of sunshine moving forward here after today. Temps this morning are nice and mild. We're in the 50s already, so once that sun does pop out, we're easily going to top 60 degrees today, so that's probably the warmest of the stretch. Fog is disappearing by about 9 o'clock. Midday, still nice and bright. Temperatures again hitting 60 plus. Late in the day, we'll start to see more clouds work in, and that'll filter out some sunshine, but it will stay rain-free, so we'll have a dry afternoon and evening. Dense fog and still damp, 55. Sun returns midday, mild temps 60. Dry, quiet this evening with light wind and a good temperature there of 65 when you get home. Okay, weekends in view. We'll go over the details in a few.
All right, thank you, Todd. Senate Democrats say they will boycott voting on Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett at the Senate Judiciary Committee today. In a statement, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and committee Democrats called the proceedings a sham. Committee rules state that at least 2 minority members need to be present to conduct business, but Senator Lindsey Graham, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, says the panel will move ahead on voting with or without Democrats present. Democrats would need 4 Republicans to stop the nomination. Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski are the only 2 Republicans who have even voiced opposition to filling the vacancy on the court before the election. Meantime, a new FBI report shows Russia and Iran both attempting to meddle in this year's election.
Tracy Potts is in D.C. and has the details on this developing story.
Good evening. The president has...
Intelligence chiefs briefed Congress today on the new development that Iran and Russia obtained voter information and that Iran was behind emails to Florida voters urging them to switch parties and vote Republican.
These actions are desperate attempts by desperate adversaries.
We are not going to tolerate foreign interference in our elections. You should be confident that your vote counts.
Iran denied the allegations, calling them absurd. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called them disturbing.
If people don't believe the elections are fair, that's the beginning of the end of this democracy.
Separately, a cybersecurity firm says hackers are selling public voter registration data for 186 million Americans. The news coming on the eve of the final presidential debate.
Iran doesn't want to let me win. China doesn't want to let me win.
President Trump previewing tonight's attack on Joe Biden.
If Biden wins, China will own the United States. Will own it.
The New York Times reports President Trump had a secret Chinese bank account.
Can you imagine if I had had a secret Chinese bank account when I was running for re-election? You think Fox News might have been a little concerned about that? They would have called me Beijing Barry.
President Obama hitting the campaign trail for Joe Biden in Pennsylvania and again this weekend in Florida. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
Tonight, Mainers will have their latest chance to hear directly from the candidates in Maine's highly contested race for U.S. Senate. Our Sean Stackhouse joining us live this morning with a look ahead to tonight's debate. Good morning, Sean.
Lee, good morning. Well, we're now 12 days out from Election Day, and tonight the 4 candidates running for Senate here in Maine will meet for a virtual Voice of the Voter debate right here on News Center Maine. Incumbent Republican Senator Susan Collins, Democrat and current frontrunner Sarah Gideon, along with independents Max Linn and Lisa Savage will share the screen in one of the final chances voters have to hear from the candidates before the election. Tonight's debate was originally slated to be in person here at the Portland Holiday Inn, but had to be changed to a virtual debate because the Senate is currently in session and Senator Collins is in Washington. Tonight, topics are expected to include COVID-19 response and relief, healthcare, the Supreme Court, and racism, among others. And as we head into tonight's debate, let's take a look at how these candidates are polling a few weeks out. This comes from Pan Atlantic Research based in Portland that's been polling Mainers for 30 years. Right now, Democrat Sarah Gideon is leading the polls with just under 47%. Senator Collins polling just under 40%. Independent Lisa Savage with less than 5%, and independent Max Linn with 2% polling ratio right now. And this poll was taken in early October with 600 people considered to be likely voters here in Maine. And we've often heard that this is slated to be one of the most expensive elections in our state's history. We'll take a look at fundraising data from the Federal Elections Commission coming up in the next half hour. And for tonight's debate, you can watch right here on News Center Maine at 7 p.m. And we'll also be streaming on our website and mobile app, as well as our YouTube and Facebook pages. Live in Portland this morning, Sean Stackhouse, News Center Maine. Sharon.
All right, 7 o'clock. Thank you, Sean. Mainers are already setting records for absentee voting. Here's a look at the numbers so far. More than 415,000 Mainers have requested absentee ballots. About 280,000 have already voted. That's compared to just over 100,000 at this point in 2016 and 258,000 by the end of that election. This year, a lot of people have been wondering how to make sure that their ballot is delivered safely and gets counted.
So there are a few ways to make sure that it does get into your city clerk's hands. First, you could just mail your ballot in. You could also deliver the ballot to a town election official in person, or in some towns and cities, there are actually ballot drop boxes. Now, once your ballot's received, it is secured inside of your town hall or city hall in a vault or a locked room. Those ballots will start to get processed next Tuesday, the 27th of October, 1 week before Election Day. Secretary of State Matt Dunlap says every single ballot will be accounted for.
We keep track of how many ballots are sent to a town, how many the town has issued to voters, how many have been returned, how many were spoiled or were rejected for various reasons. And then those numbers all have to equal up to the same thing at the end of the election.
The Secretary of State's office recently launched a tracking site as well, so you could follow your absentee ballot throughout every step of the process and make sure it does get counted.
And if you aren't already registered to vote, there is still time. News Center Maine's Zach Blanchard explains the process.
Are you registered to vote? Well, technically the last day to register by mail was October 19th. But there's still time. In Maine, you can register in person at your town or city hall, or even on Election Day. Here's what you need to know. You must be 18 years old by Election Day to vote in this election. You'll get this voter registration card. Just fill out your name, address, date of birth, and party affiliation. If you don't want to join a party, check unenrolled. And you must bring a valid driver's license or state ID. Otherwise, you need the last 4 digits of your social security number. And if it's your first time, bring an identifying document like a utility bill or pay stub. Then you get your ballot and vote. Early voting at your town or city hall is through October 30th, or once you're registered, you have until the 29th to request an absentee ballot, but it must be returned by mail or in person by 8 p.m. on November 3rd. Now, election officials recommend registering or voting early to cut back on those long lines at the polls. But if you don't mind the wait, you can do it all on Election Day. No matter what you do, just get out and vote. I'm Zach Blanchard, News Center, Maine.
All right, still to come, let's be honest. It's certainly been hard to keep up with all the new information about COVID-19 the past 9 months. Now imagine trying to keep up with everything that changes, but not being able to speak English. Coming up, there's a new team working to keep people informed and keep them healthy. We'll tell you all about that.
And it may not be raining any longer, but there are still a lot of drips and drops off of leaves and rooftops, so kids need some sort of sweatshirt with the hood. They don't need a jacket though. The temps are already not bad, 55, and heading into the 60s after the sun pops out. Pretty good day ahead. Be looking ahead to the weekend coming up in a few minutes.